Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are checking out a Stamina Warden PvP build. This has been updated for the Wrathstone DLC, and this build is so much fun to play, I just had to share it with you guys. So Stamina Warden has just tons of burst potential, tons of AoE burst potential, I should say. Got your Sub Assault, Reverse Slice, Dizzy Swing, standard combo for a Stamina Warden. But along with that, this build is really focusing hard on survivability and staying alive in PvP. We've got really good heals over time. We've got one of the best burst heals for stamina characters in the game. On top of that, we're stacking health recovery in our heavy armor. I'm talking maxed out resists and over 4k health recovery when we're fully buffed. So if you play this build right, you are almost impossible to take down. So let's get into it and see how it works. We'll cover the gear sets, skills you need, champion points, and more coming up next. All right, let's jump into the stats on the build. But first of all, check out this beautiful Orsinium backdrop. Pretty nice. So all of my builds I try to do in a different location. I don't know if you guys noticed that. All right. Quick disclaimer, as usual, your stats here will improve with things like max level Undaunted. I don't have that yet on this character. Also, gold glyphs and things like that will definitely help. But let's go ahead and buff up here just to get a baseline of our stats. So we're looking at 10k max magicka, about 22k health. That'll bump up to about like 25, 26 in PvP. Almost 34k stamina. You can raise that up, like I said. Stamina recovery is looking good. It's about 1700 there. We actually don't see the full recovery that our Bullnetch gives us. That gives about, I want to say like 400 stamina recovery. So you're over 2k there with your potion active. Health recovery is also massive on this build. 1600 health recovery. Weapon damage here coming in at about 3100. We do have a Berserker glyph though, so you can get up to about 3600 there. Weapon critical is pretty solid at 32%. This is a heavy armor build though, so keep that in mind. So I'm not running any precise. I don't have the medium armor benefits that I would have. But check out our resistances here. When we are on our back bar, which is where we have all of our heals, coming in at max resists here, over 33k spell and physical resistance. And then crit resistance 2300. And then our health recovery even goes up on the back bar. I forgot to mention about 1800 there. Fully buffed health recovery is over 4k. That has to do with one of the other sets that we're running, so we'll take a look at that in a minute. I do have all my points into max stamina on this character, using Dubious Cameron Throne as the buff food. I am using the Steed Mundus right now, and that's my preference for no CP in Battlegrounds. Check out the Steed Mundus, you guys. 10% movement speed, plus that extra health recovery is going to be super nice on this build. Again, we're heavy armor, so we're not super fast. That 10% movement speed, that counts for a lot. That's like 2 full pieces of Swift jewelry there. And then you also get the health recovery on top. Obviously, you could do the Warrior Mundus if you want. Your weapon damage will be closer to 4k if you are using Warrior, so you can do that if you like. But I just prefer the extra benefits to Steed, especially for no CP and Battlegrounds. It's really nice. So let's talk about the race here. My favorite race for Stamina Warden is going to be Nord. A couple of really nice passives here that Nords get. So max health is good, and then maximum stamina even better. But check out this part, you guys. 5 ultimate every 10 seconds as long as you're taking damage, and you can take a lot of damage on this build. So yeah, this passive is excellent. Excellent for a Stamina Warden to get your ultimates up quicker. And then I do really like this passive too. An extra 4k physical and spell resistance is really nice. So I definitely prefer Nord. You can also go with Orc. You'll get a lot of extra movement speed and weapon damage, which will also be really nice for this playstyle. So you can pick what you prefer there. Really important to note is our potions here. Potions are super important. So what I created here was Essence of Weapon Crit, and that's because we don't have a weapon crit buff. We don't have room for one, at least on this build. So this is giving us that extra 10% weapon critical, which is really helpful. And then we also get Major Fortitude, so health recovery and a health boost. And then we get Stam recovery and stamina. So I think these potions are ideal. You have to craft these. Yes, you can use like tri-stat potions, but you'll be missing that weapon critical. So I do recommend this. The health back is actually really nice, kind of like a little burst heal. So these are awesome. Definitely recommend those for potions. Okay, checking out the gear next. Let's jump over to our first 5-piece set, Alessian Order. So this is not a new set, but it did get updated in the Wrathstone DLC, I'm pretty sure. So let's check out what it does. Physical spell resistance is really good. Max health, also good. And then for the 5-piece here, it increases your health recovery by 1% of your total physical and spell resistance. So basically you add up both of your resist pools, take 1% of that, and that's the extra health recovery that you'll get. So when I'm not buffed here on my back bar, 565. And then, just so you can see the difference, I'll put my resist buffs on, and 671, so almost 700 health recovery there when we're fully buffed. So I like that it's heavy armor. Just get those nice, really tanky heavy armor passives, and then I like the extra health recovery as well. So this is a great defensive set. It makes you super tanky. Obviously, the health recovery helps you stay alive a lot easier, and it's just an overall great defensive set. It's also pretty easy to get as well. You can just pick these up from the PvP boxes. Purchase them with AP, or you can buy these on Guild Traders as well. Very easy to get. So what I'm using here is weapons, and then 3 pieces on the body. So for our weapons, front bar, we've got a Nerdhoned Maul. Very important. With this Maul, it's just going to give us that little extra bit of penetration. That means we do more damage in heavy armor. So I definitely prefer the Maul. If you have a 2-hand sword, that probably would work just as well. Nerdhoned there on the trait, just for maximum damage. Back bar, we've got sword and shield. So your one-hander here does not make a difference. It can be a mace, it can be a sword, it can be a dagger. Doesn't matter, we're running poisons on this anyways. Shield, I like reinforced. Reinforced, you can get the most resistances there as possible. And speaking of which, defending on your one-hander is going to give you even more defenses and even more health recovery. Because remember, our health recovery is scaling up the more resistances we have. So if you can get a defending one-hander, again, any type is fine, but defending is going to be ideal for this kind of build. And then a reinforced shield, that's what you want. Max stamina here on my shield. The poison I'm using here is just a drain stamina. This is just to give me a nice stamina recovery when it procs. 200 stamina per second for 5 seconds is pretty good. Gives us a good bit of burst stamina back when that goes off, which is really nice. And then for our body pieces, 3 pieces on the body. Impenetrable chest. You could go reinforced here too if you want, just for the extra resistances, max stamina there. And then legs and boots to finish that set off. All right, to go along with our defensive set, kind of our offensive and recovery set, we're using Bone Pirate. It's just going to give us a nice mix of overall stats since we're speccing heavily into defense. This is going to give us a good stamina pool and good weapon damage and recovery as well as a stamina warden. So I'm using that on the hands and waist. These are our medium armor pieces, by the way. So I'm running 2 medium on the build and 5 heavy. I don't have the best traits here. Impen would be best on both of these. And then running 3 Bone Pirate jewelry just to finish that off. I've got an infused neck piece here with weapon damage. This just gives a little bit extra weapon damage, which is nice. Not required though, but definitely nice to have. And then weapon damage on the rings as well. What's really nice about Stamina Warden, you guys, is that recovery that we have with Bullnetch means we can run all weapon damage and still be sustainable, even in heavy armor. It's pretty nice. So yep, Bone Pirate there is our second 5-piece set. And then just to round it off, since we are speccing pretty hard into health recovery, I went with Troll King, which is probably no surprise. So this does give us an extra 1,500 or so health recovery, and that's just on the tooltip. This does get boosted by our potion. Like I said, well over 4k health recovery on this build once Troll King is procced. You will want to get Troll King in heavy armor though to maximize your resistances, especially on this build because our health recovery is going off of resistances. So the way that works is heavy helmet here, heavy shoulders, and then everything else heavy except for our waist and hands. These have the lowest armor overall. So these two pieces, this is where you want your medium armor pieces. You don't want medium on the helm or the shoulder if you can help it. If you have medium or light Troll King, try to get heavy because that's what makes this work. Otherwise, you'll have to get Bone Pirate weapons, which is a lot harder. So just keep that in mind. So I have a mixture of enchants here. I have a couple of tri-stat enchants. You want to focus mostly on stamina though, and then a couple of health enchants is okay as well. Now, as far as alternatives, this is a really tanky setup. It's very beginner friendly, really easy to stay alive with. The damage, I'll be honest with you, is really solid because Wardens have strong burst no matter what. But if you really want to amp up your damage, you can obviously replace Elysian with a more damaging set. You know, sets like Fury, 7th Legion that everybody uses, that's always an option. But definitely check out this Elysian set, especially if you're a newer player or you're having trouble staying alive in PvP. This is going to maximize your survivability for sure. It's a really fun set to use. All right, I think that covers the gear. Let's jump into the skills next. So, two-hand bar for our Stam Warden. We've got Reverse Slice. This just going along with our theme here of AoE burst potential. You definitely want Reverse Slice over Executioner here as your execute. Deals slightly less damage, but you get the AoE here. Other enemies take up to 65% of your primary target's damage. So nice low cost here, which is going to be very important on heavy armor setup. And this does start scaling at 50% or below. Probably don't want to use it until 25 or so percent to get the most effective damage out of it. Subterranean Assault. This is the moneymaker here for Stam Warden. Nice AoE damage. Again, burst potential. It does apply Major Fracture as well, which is a great physical resistance debuff. Awesome skill. They did lower the cost recently as well. So this is kind of like a spammable, but it does have a 3-second timer. So just keep that in mind. You'll need to hit your sub-assault, and then after 3 seconds, that will go off in a line coming out in front of you. So you do need to aim. Keep that in mind as well. Be careful with that. Bird of Prey. So this is a really interesting skill. It now gives us Minor Berserk passively while slotted. So that's an extra 8% damage. Awesome. Awesome, especially on a heavy armor build. But it also gives us the movement speed here. Major Expedition. So that's 30% movement speed for 4 seconds. So I do use this quite a bit. I mean, not on cooldown, obviously, because it costs Magicka. It costs quite a bit. But with our Steed Mundus combined with our bird here, we are quite fast. Quite fast. Surprisingly fast for a heavy armor setup. It just gives you some nice maneuverability, too, when you're trying to land your combo. You know, I might use that just to make it a little bit easier to move around. And then obviously closing the gap, getting closer to my enemy. It just has a lot of good uses. So you definitely need that. You also get an extra passive damage the more of these animal companion skills you have slotted. So, yep, definitely a must-have on your front bar. Dizzy Swing. So we're doing the Dizzy Swing combo on this build. You want to combine this, though, with some of the snares that we have access to, which I'll talk about, just to make sure you have a better chance of landing it. But man, when you land this on somebody, timed with your sub-assault, timed with your reverse slice, they are just about done. That just does tons and tons of damage. So it's great. It does have that cast time of 1 second, so you just need to get used to timing that. And again, the movement speed here is important to doing that as well. As well as our next skill here, Forward Momentum. So what this does is it gives us Major Brutality, which we don't really need since we have our Netch. It gives us a heal over time, which is good. 1,000 health every 2 seconds, not bad. This can help proc Troll King just passively, so that'll be up as soon as your health gets low. But what we're really using it for is the bottom section there. It removes all snares and immobilizations and gives you immunity for 4 seconds. So this is what's going to help us, as well as our bird here, just to line up our combo, be really mobile, and then get to the target that we want to hit. So usually what you'll do is you'll hit your shocks, get your forward momentum going just to make sure you're not snared, you're not slowed, you're not rooted or anything like that. And then follow up with a dizzy swing and then a reverse slice combo at that point. So that's kind of how all of these play together. I really like how they all just work together well. Okay, last up, we've got our ultimate here, and I'm doing something slightly different here. Make sure you pay attention to this bit. I've chosen Flawless Dawnbreaker. This is not Dawnbreaker of Smiting. Now, why am I doing that? It's because my Stamina Warden has a better ultimate, and it's on my back bar. Well, so I'll get to it in a second. So what I wanted here is just something where I could get some passive bonus to my heavy armor build. I don't have a lot of weapon damage built into a heavy armor setup, so I like this a lot because, check out the last line here, while slotted, weapon damage is increased by 5%. And I actually get a little bit extra from our Fighters Guild passives. We're getting almost 8% damage increase here just by slotting Flawless. So am I going to use Flawless Dawnbreaker? 9 times out of 10, no, I'm not. It's just here for the passive. All right, let's swap to the back bar now. Our one hand and shield, heroic slash. This is really nice, you guys. So we get a good bit of damage here, but we get the snare, okay? 60% movement speed snare for 4 seconds. It's really strong. And this is another way you can line up your dizzy swing combo is hit him with a heroic slash. Get that snare going. That basically gives you 4 seconds of a slow target, and then you can be faster than your target because you've got wings, you've got forward momentum, and all that active on the front bar. So I really like this combination on the back bar. Also, not to mention here, the Minor Maim is really good at reducing an enemy's damage output, those really bursty targets, Stamina Nightblade, Sorcerer, whatever. Hit them with the Minor Maim to make sure they do less damage to you and your team. That's really important. And then also the Minor Heroism buff, getting our ultimates up even faster. Super important to have that up every 9 seconds at least. At least, you guys. Make sure you keep that active. All right, next up, Soothing Spores. This is just a quick burst heal, an emergency heal. I don't use this too much, but since we're using forward momentum instead of rally, it is really nice to have. So, yes, you could flex this with other things. You could put, let's say, Shimmering Shield here if you wanted. Or you could put Vines or Lotus Blossom in this slot. You could put whatever you want here. But me, personally, I just like having access to a burst heal. We have really strong heal over times, but just having that extra burst heal, especially since we're not using the tree ultimate, is going to be helpful. So I definitely recommend this. Next up is Resolving Vigor. And speaking of heal over times, this is it. You'll want to hit this anytime you start to take damage. I would say 80% health or below. Make sure you crush this and get that heal over time going, really important. And then just our 2 buffs here at the end. Bullnetch, like I mentioned, gives us Major Brutality, about 400 stamina recovery passively there. It's not listed on the tooltip. You won't see your stamina recovery on your character sheet go up with this, but it's definitely there. Feels great, especially on the Stamina Warden heavy armor build. It's really important. And then we just have our Ice Fortress. This gives us major resolve and vigor, as well as minor protection. Minor protection, you guys, makes Stamina Warden really tough. A little trick here on the Bullnetch that a lot of people don't know about is you do have a passive which gives you health every time your summoned creatures die. And basically you can hit your Netch and spawn a new one that will give you a little mini heal. So if you have no stamina left, you can get some stamina back and a little bit of healing from your Bullnetch there. So let's talk about the ultimate. I did it. I did Permafrost. This ultimate is just so powerful. Yes, it is getting a little bit of a nerf in the Elsewhere chapter. Talked about that in previous videos. But really the only thing they're doing is they're reducing the snare from 70 to 40%. So it's still going to be a very effective ultimate. The snare obviously is important. The damage is nice. But the major protection and the stun is great. So like I said earlier, 9 times out of 10, this is what I'm saving my ultimate for. Because it just snares, slows, and stuns everything. making my offensive abilities that much more easy to land. If somebody's sitting in a permafrost, I'll just show you what it looks like. Somebody's sitting in this, it lasts for a solid 8 seconds. That's plenty of time to line up a dizzy swing, sub-assault, reverse slice combo on like 2 or 3 targets, not just one. So it's awesome. Okay, I actually want to go into a little discussion of the passives here on the Warden, because some of these are really important as far as how you play the build. So let me just recommend the passives you should get and why. So Animal Companions, you want to pick up all the passives here. We talked about this a little bit. Bond with Nature. When any of those is unsummoned, you get 1387 health. So that's why we can do this. Even with no stamina, because it is free, we can get a little bit of healing back from that passive. Savage Beast, this helps a lot with the Stamina Warden because you get that extra ultimate generation. Make sure you pick this up. Flourish gives you the extra Magicka and Stamina recovery by having an Animal Companion on both bars. Make sure you have structured your build in that way. So here we've got the Sub-Assault and Bird of Prey, and then on the back bar I've got Netch. You want to have one of those abilities on both bars no matter what. Advanced Species gives you 3% extra damage for each of these abilities slotted. This is harder to get on a Stamina Warden. You can get maybe a little bit more on your front bar by running Cutting Dive instead of Dizzy Swing, but that would be a pretty different build, so I'm not recommending it right now. What we see is mostly Magicka Warden gets more out of this passive for sure. For Green Balance, you want to pick up all of these. This has more to do with your healing. Major Mending you have access to. Get some nice Magicka stamina back. Increase of healing done. And then Minor Toughness is a great buff. Basically, when you have a heal, you're going to increase your max health or your ally by 10%. And this actually, it's interesting, this procs off that other passive that we talked about when your summoned companion gets unsummoned or dies. Minor Toughness procs, watch this. So you see how my health went up there? My health went up 2k just by having my Netch active. So that's really nice. You don't really have to think about that too much. It also will get activated when you do a Sub-Assault, for example. So make sure you pick up all of those, as well as all your passives. In Winter's Embrace, this is our kind of tanky skill line. We get an extra 1,000 physical and spell resistance there, really good. Icy Aura, which is really great on Stamina Warden. We're already using forward momentum, but when that goes down, we still have some extra movement because of this. Piercing Cold you don't get much from, except on your ultimate. So you want to take everything in your two-handed skill line, those passives, as well as one-handed shield. Everything heavy armor. This is a 5 heavy armor setup. And then for medium armor, we are taking Dexterity. Windwalker, this gives us some extra stamina recovery and stamina reduce cost, which is good. Make sure you get this. Every little bit counts. Sneak you don't need, you can ignore this. As well as Agility, because you need 5 pieces of medium armor to get the Agility passive. This is usually why medium armor builds have higher weapon damage than heavy armor. So you can pass up that one to save a few skill points. But you do want Athletics. A lot of people miss this because it's the last skill. This doesn't have any requirement for the amount of pieces. So you get extra movement speed while sprinting and then the reduced cost of roll dodge. Make sure you grab that passive. Under Fighters Guild, you want to pick most of these up. Like we mentioned earlier, on our front bar, we're getting the extra 3% weapon damage from Slayer. That's coming from our ultimate there. 9 ultimate when you kill Undead Daedra or Werewolf. That's very important. This does increase the damage of Dawnbreaker if you happen to use it, so pick that up as well. Undaunted, I don't have any Undaunted on this character. You'll want level 9 for your max stats. Assault, once you get to 10, you'll want to unlock Combat Frenzy. 20 ultimate per kill is massive. It really helps on this build. Support, really nothing here. And then your racial passives. Alchemy, you'll want just medicinal use here. Now, in terms of the champion points, I am playing this pretty much as a Battlegrounds build, but Here's a basic setup you can try if you want to take this into a CP campaign. This should work pretty well. Warlord, we've got 40, 35 into Sprinter, 43 into Tenacity. That gives us some nice sustain on our heavy attacks. 19 into Arcanist, 64 Mooncalf, 32 into Healthy. This is going to boost our health recovery even more, especially when Troll King is up. Shadow Ward, 13, 23 Tumbling, 32 into Blessed, 31 Physical Weapon Expert, 72 Master Arms, 11 Shattering Blows, 56 into Mighty, 31 into Piercing, 37 into Precise Strikes. In our red tree here, 56 Ironclad, 55 Resistant, 49 into Hardy and Elemental Defender, 34 Thick-Skinned, 27 into Quick Recovery, and that's for 810 CP. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for this Stamina Warden PvP build. If you enjoyed the video today here at all, please remember to crush that like button for me. It really does help these videos get noticed on YouTube and helps more people see what I'm doing here on the channel. By the way, we've been getting lots and lots of new subscribers here on YouTube lately, so if you're new to the channel, welcome. I appreciate you checking me out. And if you're not a subscriber yet, why the heck not? It is free, and I do post new builds and guides for ESO every week. So definitely think about hitting that subscribe button as well. And if you're already a subscriber, make sure you have notifications turned on so you see those new builds as soon as they come out. Speaking of which, I've got another Warden build I'm working on, this time a Magicka Warden PvP build. So keep an eye out for that. It should be a lot of fun. And until then, I'll see you guys around in the next video. Thanks.